Hi guys, so as promised, here is the second instalment, which is looking at May's paper, first language, extended paper, looking at the last zookeeper story. The primary focus is going to be on part B to question 2, the imagery question. Just to recap, we looked at this first paragraph. Lots of subtle hints to suggest that the boy was perhaps robotic himself, and quite clear that the zookeeper is in quite ill health and struggling to go about his day-to-day activities and running of the zoo. So I'm just going to read it and go through some of my ideas. I'll read the whole text, and hopefully that will answer any questions that you have. So his eyes slipped to his own hand, a smaller replica of his father's, both puffy and flesh, skin devoid of blemishes. Now again, this may well possibly be another subtle hint. It's quite unusual for humans, I guess, to have no blemishes on their skin. Perhaps babies, maybe, but skin devoid of blemishes. Quite a powerful image there. Beneath their perfected surfaces, bright red serum circulated, delivering rich nourishment with exquisite precision and dependability. Unlike the old man's, their palms were dry, cold, despite the humidity of the day. Now, what you should have picked up on is that the writer is clearly trying to make a contrast with the old man, the zookeeper, and the boy and his father. Their skin is free from blemishes. The writer uses this phrase, perfected surfaces. Notice how the blood is referred to as red serum, which is being delivered with exquisite precision. Okay, all of these images are suggesting that the boy and father are indeed very different to the zookeeper and perhaps are not human. Notice how their palms are dry and cool as well, so the weather is not affecting them, which some might think is quite unusual. The zookeeper paused outside the cage and jangled his keyring, repeating the movement until the wisp of a shape, a lighter shadow, suggested the presence of some hulking wild beast inside. Glass grey eyes glistened, briefly catching the sunlight and seeming to peer out almost intelligently. The key turned in the lock. The old man tugged the door open. The boy had witnessed the same wordless dialogue every day for the past 3 years. He knew it all by heart. So again, we get a clear sense of the boy being quite obsessed with the actions of the zookeeper, what he does, what he says. We've got some hints as to the lion perhaps also being robotic. The grey eyes glistened almost intelligently. Let's read on. The animal still did not emerge. It never did at this point. This is where it gets a little bit more explicit, in my opinion. The acrid tang of the lab-grown meat, okay? Lab-grown meat. It's not normal meat. In the bucket stung the boy's nose. The flesh had begun to spoil immediately after it was removed from its sterile bath. The zookeeper extracted a pale slab of meat. It hit the cement outside the cage with an unquestionably organic sound, attracting frenzied swarms of flies. The boy could see and hear them buzzing, hovering. Even technology advances of recent decades had not succeeded in eradicating these pests. Minds augmented by artificial intelligence could still not calculate a solution to this problem. Some species follow no mathematical formula, his father commented. I've put here perhaps the writer is hinting towards the futility of technology, how technology cannot solve every problem, and in this case can't solve the problem of the flies buzzing around. But obviously the most important image is the fact that the zookeeper is feeding the lion with this lab-grown meat, and this is removed from a sterile bath. So all of these images suggest that the lion is perhaps robotic. Most did, the boy was told. Humans, for example, were very mathematical in their behaviour. There were exceptions. Occasionally, individuals still defied being reduced to basic principles and programs. The old man extracted a filthy handkerchief from his overalls and dabbed his forehead. Even as he did so, new beads of sweat erupted. Behaviour that's alien to the boy, because the boy can't express these kind of emotions. He can't sweat, obviously. So again, we've got this clear contrast between the zookeeper and indeed the boy. Jumbie, the man's frail voice trembled and cracked. He waited. Jumbie, come out and eat. The boy could almost feel the keeper hoping, but the shape behind the cage door still didn't move. At last the old man sighed. His shoulders fell. His back stooped more. He reached over and swiped at the metal plate beside the gate. There was a soft whir. Another hint there, almost too quiet to hear. Finally, with a tired groan, the animal shuffled out. The boy came daily to witness this feeding. Somehow he always expected the outcome to be different. Why does he bother, he asked his father every visit. Why? Again, does the boy recognise that it's completely a futile task to feed something that's robotic? Let's move on to the last section. Old habits are hard to break, his father told him. The boy felt something like disappointment, but accepted the usual answer. He supposed understanding would come once final electrical connections had been made and his father had fully imparted knowledge into him. Clearly there are words, there are phrases which link to artificial intelligence. Notice how the writer describes that the boy felt something like disappointment. Again, linking back to this idea that the boy can't quite tap into or express these human emotions just yet anyway. Perhaps he's not programmed to do so, or as the writer says, his father hasn't imparted this knowledge into him. Then we move on to, I think this is paragraph 14. This is the next paragraph that you're directed to for the imagery question. And to answer it successfully, you really have to have an idea as to the overall effect that the writer wants to achieve. And it would seem that the writer is trying to highlight how perhaps the lion has been neglected, or it's coming to the end of its life, much like the zookeeper. It's old, it's defunct, and there's lots of issues with this lion. Let's have a little read. The ancient beast's pelt bleached bone white by the unrelenting sun was badly tattered. Okay, so it's been damaged by the sun. We've got this adverb here, badly, coupled with this adjective tattered. Again, we've got this kind of image of perhaps whatever material is covering the lion. There's tears, there's holes. Okay, an unusual adjective to use if, for example, it was an actual lion. Bare spots betrayed where fur rubbed painfully against the metal, suggesting that the mechanics, the metal, has been exposed, perhaps due to the sun damage, perhaps due to the zookeeper not being able to look after the lion properly. So quite a powerful image here, which you may well have explored. We've got this, again, dynamic verb rubbed, and we've got this adjective painfully, which really sort of brings the lion to life, and it makes it quite emotive as well. The animal turned, exposing all tears in its side. Again, linking to this previous image. Through these raggedly sutured gaps, the boy could see underlying musculature, atrophied meat, and churning gears. So here's where it's quite explicit, okay? We've got the churning gears, we've got the metal being exposed, and then we've got the mechanics, which we can really visualize quite clearly here with this adjective churning and this noun gears. Atrophied, suggesting that the line's sort of wasting away, its organs are wasting away. We've got this sort of almost like hybrid nature to the lion, perhaps suggesting the effect of technology on the human race, maybe. He wondered how many times the zookeeper had repaired the damage. I don't know, the father answered automatically. That information isn't available. So he's not programmed to be able to answer that question. The boy was tempted to question the old man, but the father gave the boy's hand a warning squeeze. Is this the father warning the child that perhaps this is the bleak future that is in store for the boy? He knows full well that perhaps the zookeeper is nearing the end of his life. So it's quite a poignant image, really. Perhaps a criticism towards technology as well, and the direction in which the world is heading. Then the boy reads a plaque displayed outside the cage, and this really, if you had any uncertainty, this is really where it gets quite explicit. African lion, the male, the last known individual of its kind, died of a wasting disease. It was reanimated, for the preservation of the biological artifacts. It is the only remaining fully functioning cybernetized African lion on public display. So there we have it. It's very clear that this lion, well, they're now extinct, but it's been brought back to life as a robot or as a fully functioning cybernetized African lion. So hopefully that's answered that question. His father moved, come on, the monkey's next. So it's the father again trying to protect the son, trying to shield him from the, as I said before, rather bleak reality. Then the boy, it says the boy didn't care about the monkey whose cage was before the only empty one near the zoo's exit. This zookeeper captivated him in the whole entire menagerie, this ancient man's dedication to a world long since dead. This man has been dedicated, to perhaps the plight of these animals, but it's been completely futile because technology has taken completely over. Remained an unsolved equation in the boy's siliconized brain. This is the final hint, this adjective here, suggesting that the boy and indeed his father are robots, and the African lion is a robot, and the zookeeper, unfortunately, is the only man or the only human left on the planet. Okay guys, hopefully that's helped. Again, apologies about the lack of split screen and the rubbish filming. I just want to end this video with a good luck. I'm sure you've all done brilliantly, and I really hope this has helped and answered some of your questions. Thanks, bye.